Welcome to this episode of No BS Live TV. I'm your No BS marketing guy, Bill Glazer, and today we decided to devote an entire episode to answering your questions. So we gathered questions from our viewers on all of our social media sites, and now I'm going to answer them. Let's see the first question. So question number one comes from Diamond member Richard McFarland from Lewisville, Texas. And he sent this in. I have a question that might work for all of those My Biz is Different characters out there, but does have relevance for all of us new outrageous marketers. If we are in an industry where this style of marketing is not used, which is a good thing, what do you recommend that we start with? Do we attack them with every S&D we can find out and go for it? Or is there a level that may be more subtle that the market will perceive as different but not ridiculous? Meaning, if you had to start from scratch, what top 3 items would you pick to mail, email, and advertise in a fresh market? Thanks, and GKIC is the best. Well, we appreciate that last comment about GKIC, and we do think we're the best, so thank you for that. So it's a long question, and actually I could do an entire seminar on this, so I can't give you the top 3 and all that other stuff, but I'm going to give you really the answer to your question. And let me just say this to you, that when I first started doing outrageous advertising for my then retail business, that's exactly how I started, is sort of how you are suggesting, which I really kind of started slow. The first thing I did outrageous advertising-wise was because of an occurrence. We actually had a sprinkler go off in my menswear store, and I wrote this outrageous advertorial that I ran in the newspapers and then also reprinted and sent it out to all of my customers, talking about what happened in the store, and I made it look like a real news story. That, by the way, that's in my book, Outrageous Advertising, so if you want to see an example of it, go ahead and do that. But I also will say that the 2 things that you want to do is, number 1 is make yourself a personality. Talk about yourself, make yourself a person of interest. And number 2 is you can very well start with the most basic of outrageous advertising stuff. For example, the wallet mailer that's in the book is always a good thing to be using. It's not a real crazy outrageous thing, and people talk about it all the time. The pill bottle mailing is another one that's always good to use. The bank bag mailing is another good one to use. So things like that that nobody gets offended by, but everybody looks at them and says, gee, that's really clever. Now don't forget that when you do that, when you send out a bank bag, when you send out a pill box, when you send out the wallet mailing, what's inside has to be congruent with what's on the outside. So if you're going to use something on the outside, like a pill box, you have to talk about, well, I'm sending you this information because it's the prescription for what you need. So inside has to be congruent with the outside. But I'm going to tell you right now, if it's not being done in your industry, what you said is a good thing, it is a good thing, because you'll make yourself the interesting person in your industry. Okay, here's question number 2. Our next question comes to us all the way from Japan, from Diamond Luxury member, oh my goodness, Takayuki Suzuki. It sounds like a car. But anyway, Takayuki asks, I have a friend who has a factory for making a Japanese food called gyoza. It is a family-owned business. He is now struggling to survive in the new economy caused by the recent earthquake and tsunami. He knows he needs more profit per sale. The cost of his product is about 60% of the retail price. So I urged him to raise the retail price as soon as possible, but he's afraid to do so because he thinks the customers will leave his company if he does that. Well, you know, I would tell you that you gave him good advice. The truth of the matter is that if he raises his price by a meager 10%, he could lose 30% of his sales and still make the same profit. Now, with saying that, think about that for a second. If he raises his price by a meager 10%, I guarantee he won't lose 30% of his sales. And he probably, if he loses any sales at all, he might lose 10% of his sales, so he'll be making more money. Less transactions, but make more money. Also, I will also tell you that I think if he raises his price by 10% of the sales, he probably won't lose anything at all. But here's the last thing I will tell you. So raising his price is one of the ways to go. Another way to go is also to increasing the transaction size by actually having a larger purchase. So if people buy typically, let's say that this is sold in ounces, 10 ounces of this product, and now you have a 30-ounce one, and the 30-ounce one costs twice as much as the 10-ounce one, well, you're getting them to buy more, and that's going to increase transaction size, which is another way to make himself more profitable. So again, my advice to you is A, get him to just test a 10% increase, and B, to have a larger super duper deluxe size that people will buy more of it and just increase the transaction size that way. There you go.
Hi, this is Jessica bringing you this week's Beat the Clock web deal. Discover how to structure and sell big ticket and/or area exclusive coaching programs, marketing license programs, done for them services, and franchises, all with the invaluable resource Big Ticket Area Exclusive Programs. Here are just a few details about what's included in this package. The one thing layered on top that sends price sky high: giant income breakthrough, how to legally and ethically sell the same area more than once, how to create maximum urgency to buy now, and so much more. Beat the clock and invest in big-ticket area-exclusive programs for 40% off. But hurry, this offer ends Monday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Check the banner for more details.
Okay. Our third question is from Cameron Johnson. He's an OBS Live TV viewer. Now, Cameron asks, hey, Bill, how do you go about finding information for your swipe and deploy stash? It's basically two things. You want to look for outrageous items or things for your swipe and deploy. It doesn't have to be outrageous. You have to look for things in your swipe and deploy stash, using your language, Cameron, in obvious places. And then you want to look at them in unobvious places. So what do I mean by obvious places? Well, obvious places is, number one, is in your mailbox. You go through your mailbox with eyes of, hey, is there something here I can swipe? Look for them, have people, tell people, your friends and other marketers, that if you ever see anything interesting, send it to me. I'm always on the lookout for it. That's an obvious place. Look at it in your email box. Look at it on the websites. You're always looking for things with wearing those glasses of how can I swipe and deploy these? So that's obvious places. Now let's talk about unobvious places. Well, for example, in my case, one of my unobvious places that I found something that I could swipe and deploy and use it actually outrageously was I was in Santorini, Greece. And I got off the boat. I was on a cruise, got off the boat, and there was a donkey ride going up the mountain. And I said to my wife, Karen, I'm going to go buy a ride on this thing. And when I'm on the donkey, take a picture of me. Now, I wasn't thinking that I'd be someplace I'd be finding something that I could swipe and deploy. But I actually, it was an unobvious place for me, but I did it right there on the spot. Karen took a picture, and then I created a postcard with me on the donkey with the headline of which one is the bigger ass. So always be on the lookout in unobvious places. The biggest thing is you got to have your swipe and deploy antennas on at all times. Always saying to yourself, how can I find something that I can swipe, grab it, and then put it into a file? And then a lot of times, like in my case, I have multiple files for different kinds of uses. So if I'm creating a campaign for a seminar, I have my seminar file. If I'm looking to create a campaign to sell a product, I have my product file. On and on and on. So there's an answer to your question. Okay, our fourth and final question comes from Sylvan Knoll. He's a Gold Luxury member in Coral Springs, Florida. And he gave us a question through the No BS Ask Bill hotline. So let's hear Sylvan's question.
Hi, I was wondering what your 5 best strategies for creating believability, authority, and celebrity in any market are. Thank you, Bill.
While I really don't have time to give you the 5 best, and frankly, again, that would take a seminar right there, but let me give you really the number one best strategy that I would actually give you, which is to make yourself a person of influence. We actually have at Glazer Kennedy 2 resources to help teach people that. Number one is Dan Kennedy's Influential Communication and Writing Workshop, which is probably, in my estimation, his really best product that there is out there. And the other one is also Dan Kennedy resource, which is Creating Customers for Life. And both of them really talk a lot about making yourself into an influential person, and in many cases, making yourself into a character. So really somebody who would be interesting to other people. So really what you want to be asking your question is this, or yourself this question, in order to accomplish this, is how can you get people interested in you where they want to actually live their lives with you? This, by the way, is a big strategy that I teach in newsletter marketing as well, is having people to read your newsletter is because now they want to actually live their lives with you. They're interested in what you're doing in your life. They're interested in your family, your pets, the vacations you take, the books you're reading, the seminars that you're attending, on and on and on. I know a lot of our Glazer Kennedy members, when they come to one of our events, they all write about it, which again makes themselves interesting. So in order to be believable, to be an authority and a celebrity in any marketplace, the single biggest thing that you want to do is to make yourself into an interesting person where people are now saying to themselves, gee, what's he up to? What's she up to? There you go. So thank you all for tuning in today's show, and let us know what your thoughts are this Q&A theme episode in the comments. If you like more of this Q&A, then I'll be happy to do it for you. If you would like to have your questions answered on No BS Live TV, all you can do is call them in at the No BS Ask Bill hotline at the numbers on the screen. Also, don't forget to check out this week's free gift for watching on the No BS Live website. I'm Bill Glazer. Thank you for watching. Now stick around for a preview of next Tuesday's episode. Today I want to talk about public speaking from the stage. Now, I'm a professional speaker. I speak all over the country, as a matter of fact, all over the world at different events every year. And of course, I have to prepare for these speaking engagements. These are the steps that I take when creating my presentation.